Good evening, VV Nation. My name is Ryan. Welcome to the channel. It's Semiconductor Thursday. TSM reported their earnings. A lot of optimism there. I see the stock jumped up this morning. So we're going to take a look at an article. In addition, we're going to jump into the VectorVest 7 software. We're going to take a look at some of the top semiconductors in the space, in this industry here, and see if there's any potential, if there's any good turnaround stories, because a lot of these stocks have been under pressure. You know, I talk about AMD and ARM. Haven't talked about them recently because the potential, for profits, the bullish momentum just not there, but we're starting to see some turnaround. So let's break down these charts and see if there's any more money in these stocks like there was in 2024, right? I know all the attention's gone to quantum and AI, but without these companies, none of this stuff is possible, right? So let's take a look at these stocks. All right, here's an article right here from Yahoo Finance. TSMC upbeat outlook fuels hopes for 2025 AI spending. I did see an article from CNBC saying 2025 was TSMC's best year on record. So let's scroll down exactly, see what we find here. Now, a couple of things I do want to mention. Now, one thing very important here is we see 4C spending 38 to 42 billion on technology and capacity this year, right? They have to increase their capacity, the demand. That's a problem with NVIDIA. Everybody wants their chips, right? They got enough chips. So 19% more than analysts anticipated. They predicted revenue of 25 billion, right? 25.8 in March, as much as 6% above projections, right? Now we can already see the polarization of the world right now. Look at this. This is what it all comes down to, right? Spending helped fueled by a rally among US and European chip equipment companies, including Applied Materials, ASML Holdings, right? Now, if I continue to scroll down, the big thing here, exactly why Warren Buffett left his TSMC position in the first place, right? Grappling with uncertainties stemming from US-China tech conflict that threatens to disrupt supply chains and stem the flow of chips. Now, the last few days of the Biden administration, he is, strengthening those AI chip restrictions, right? That was one of the the reasons why China responded by limiting, critical and, rare earth minerals, right, utilized for national defense. Now, this is only going to escalate into further tension, obviously, under the Trump administration. Now, doesn't matter how you feel, whether you're left or you're right, both sides of the aisle understand the importance of these AI chips. And both sides of the aisle understand that Taiwan, being the #1 producer of these chips, we have to protect it, right? I don't know if you know much about my past, but I actually specialized in debating international politics before coming here to VectorVest and specialized in Arab defense policy. I actually got to meet the Prince of Saudi Arabia back in the day. And in the meantime, US has made it very clear that they're going to protect their interest in Taiwan, very strategically placed, right? Taiwan, they might produce, iPhones or other, chips like that. The government doesn't care about that. No, they care about the chips needed for the database center, right? The ICBMs, very big DoD military applications. And NVIDIA, AMD, Apple, all of our chips come from Taiwan Semiconductor. So I have a feeling that United States is not going to just sit back and watch Taiwan be taken away. So the basis for tonight's video, I went to the semiconductor sector, right? Resorted by market cap. Took the top 10 companies in the semiconductor market cap, and that's the list we're looking at today, right? These are the biggest names in the semiconductor space that you can buy. That's listed here in the VectorVest software, right, on the New York exchanges. Now, some of these stocks are not based in the United States, right? We got NVIDIA, chip designer, right? Broadcom, that's one of the largest U.S. manufacturers. Taiwan Semi, that's the world's largest, right? And as far as advanced AI chips, depending on what article you look at, it's always over 90%. So pretty much all the AI chips, they're coming from Taiwan. Applied Materials, this is European, as we just saw in the article. No surprise, this is up at 6% today. And look at the other allied nation here, ASML Holdings, up 4%. ASML is the only company, in my opinion, that's above Taiwan Semiconductor when it comes to the supply chain of semiconductors. ASML is the company that supplies TSML with its lithography machines, right? That's how they make these semiconductors. Intel just spent hundreds of millions of dollars to get one of these machines, right? We got AMD, again, another American chip designer. Tokyo Electron totally here. This is a Japanese company. And no surprise, I'm seeing, U.S. allied semiconductor companies on the move, especially looking at that article here. Look, this one's up almost 3%, ASML, almost 5%, Applied Mat, 6% here. TSM 4%. The other stocks, barely any movement to the upside. Some of them down. Look, NVIDIA down today. ARM's actually surprising. I am surprised that's up today. Texas Instruments down 4.5%, right? Now, if we look from a valuation standpoint, the price of these stocks, $212. The valuation, $186. So investors overall are paying a premium. But nonetheless, you can find some value here, right? Like NVIDIA, top of the list, undervalued, right? Taiwan Semi, undervalued. Applied Mat, undervalued. So you can find value in this space. Now, as far as relative value and RS, relative safety, looking at the company's fundamentals, for the most part, yeah, favorable ratings here. Until we get to the bottom of the list, we've got Texas Instruments here, RV below 1. Obviously, Tokyo and ARM, a little bit, on the riskier side when it comes to safety. But overall, favorable rating here. If we look at the watch list average, 1.24. The trend of most of these stocks is favorable right now. VST ratings, for the most part, above 1. A majority buy recommendations. If we look at the forecasted data here, I'm seeing double digits for the most part across the board. I see, 5 here, 5. Other than Texas Instruments, that is negative, right? Not a good sign for Texas Instruments, because you look at some of these other companies. Look, Micron, 84, 32% respectively. That's actually one of my favorite picks right now, them and Marvel. Along with Dell, I do like Dell. Now, obviously, SMCI didn't make the list, right? This is based on market cap. So if I scroll over here to the right, we'll go to market cap. You can see NVIDIA at the top of the list right now. 3 companies in this list, trillion-dollar companies. That is the importance. And all of these companies here, I almost see them as defense plays. We're seeing the U.S. government take extreme measures to make sure this technology does not fall in the wrong hands, right? Because all of these companies can produce, well, essentially, technology that can be utilized for military applications, right? From other countries or other adversaries around the world. And that is the problem that the U.S. government is in, right? I don't make these decisions. That's up to, the people in office, right? So now let's break down these charts and see if there's any momentum in the market soon, if these stocks might just take off as well. For tonight's presentation, I do have it on the near perfect indicator here. Up top, we're looking at 2 moving averages of our stop price, a 5 and 40-day moving average. Down below, we're looking at a 40 and a 5-day moving average of RT. Up top gives us a sense of trend, right? Down below gives us a sense of trigger when to potentially get into these positions, right? Now you can see NVIDIA, it's actually losing the trend here. If I zoom into 3-month time span, you can see the 5-day moving average converging to that. So definitely have that on your radar, especially with price action at the bottom end of this trend line here. Not good. If we look at the moving averages of our RT, unfavorable, right? So when it comes to NVIDIA, again, I understand that the BSR, MTI are very low. Bottom fishing opportunities might be presenting themselves soon. But if you're holding NVIDIA and we don't get that rally next week that, some people are anticipating, just be defensive. Here we've got Broadcom. We've got the gap up consolidation here. We broke out to the upside, giving that up. If you're not in the position, I wouldn't necessarily rush to get in this position today. But if you are in it, I will say if it starts fading this gap here, definitely get defensive. Otherwise, I see my levels here between 185 and 165. Hopefully, the buyers will come in and we'll see a level support. Here's Taiwan Semiconductor. Look, lower left, upper right, nice smooth price action. A little volatility, nothing too crazy there. Big gap up today, fading the gap. I was kind of afraid that might happen. I see the optimism or lack of optimism in the market right now. But as far as Taiwan Semi, look, trend is in our favor, right? Trigger still there. So if we can get some more green lights, more confirmation, if you are comfortable, hey, this is a stock you may want to have on your radar. But again, even though it's the world's leader in manufacturing AI chips, there's still a lot of geopolitical tensions to be aware of before you just pull the trigger and buy the stock. I know the trend's not there, but I can see price action broke this downward trend line here. Nice gap up today. We do have triggers. So if you're more aggressive, play the momentum. Otherwise, if you want trend on your favor, wait for the 5-day to get back above the 40 to get a sense of change in direction. Now, if we take a look at the next position here, we got Micron. Again, Micron broke this upward trend line. If we take a look at the trend action here, not much of a trend forming right now. We do see some optimism with the 5-day back above the 40-day. We do have trigger. So as far as Micron, as well, I just noticed here we got a fresh buy recommendation. So if you follow the MPI, this may be a candidate for you. Now here we got ASML. I see price action on the decline, right? That's why I said some of these stocks have been under pressure. If I go back to 1 year, you can see this stock was well over $1,000 right now, $758. And from a technical standpoint, I do see the RTs in a bullish manner right now, showing momentum. With today's doji candlestick, if I go into 1 month here, you can see indecision. I'd like to see a breakout to the upside or the downside from the high or low today, just to get confirmation and a sense of direction from investors. Now here we've got AMD. Let me go to 6 months. AMD, let me adjust this here. Still wants to be in this channel here. Looks like it's consolidating a little bit, but price action, as long as it stays in this channel, I can't get much optimism here. I'm seeing, the NPI telling me that momentum is to the downside. And look at the RT, we just lost trigger. I mean, trigger only lasted for a few trading sessions there. So that's why I haven't been talking about AMD, right? There's just not much opportunities there. When opportunities present themselves, I'll touch base on AMD. Now, as far as Totally, this is Tokyo Electron, right? I'm actually starting to see price action starting to turn around here, the series of higher highs and higher lows as well. Look at the trend turning around. If I go back to 1 year, this might actually be a great bottom fishing company. Yeah, look at this. 130 was the high. We got trigger here. We got the buy recommendation as a few trading sessions ago. So this one definitely have on your radar as well, especially it qualifying for the NPI layout. Here we've got ARM Holdings. Again, here was the descending channel that we had, some consolidation in this range, just kind of like AMD a little bit. Breakout to the upside, but with this breakout to the upside, we're seeing a little bit more optimism, right? Now this red line, I've had this red line on here forever. You can see it does a very good job. That's where a lot of resistance comes into place, right around 152. Right now we're at 148, right? If you want to give up the couple bucks and wait for confirmation, hey, that's probably the safer way to play it if you plan on getting into ARM. Otherwise, we did just get a fresh buy rating. We've got the NPI trend and we've got trigger. So if you like the NPI, ARM might just be a great bottom fishing opportunity. Here we've got Texas Instruments, big down day today. Do not have trend, do have trigger, but hey, it's not favorable. RT is unfavorable. I just can't get behind it. There's a lot of momentum to the downside when it comes to this position. So Taiwan Semiconductor putting a lot of pressure, especially these geopolitical politics, putting pressure on semiconductors. But we saw from TSM that they're expecting big things to happen with these companies in 2025. So I hope this video was informative. And if there's any updates when it comes to some of these stocks, any buying opportunities, I will be putting out short content to get that information to you as quickly as possible. Everybody have a wonderful evening, and I'll see you next week.